In this course, we'll examine one of the bigger competitors to ChatGPT, Google's very own Gemini. You'll learn everything from understanding what Gemini is, its cost, and tips on prompting with the platform. And we'll also take a look at 10 use cases for Gemini in your day-to-day. Finally, we'll look at how you can create images using Gemini's image model, Imagen. By the end of this module, you'll be able to leverage Gemini the way that you want, harnessing the power of AI assistants across your workplace with ease. Gemini is Google's AI assistant, formerly known as Google Bard. Now, it is a multimodal generative AI platform that does image, audio, video, and text creation. Gemini is the successor to their previous LLM, Lambda and Palm 2, and as I noted, it was formerly known as Google Bard during its beta period. Up till now, it is the most capable AI model that Google has created, built with multimodal functionality and advanced large-scale language modeling for image understanding, audio processing, and even video understanding. Now, Gemini comes in two distinct pricing plans, Gemini Basic and Gemini Advanced. Now, Gemini Basic is essentially free, and this is using their most basic model, 1.5 Flash, and you get about 32,000 different tokens. I think for the average user, 32,000 should be sufficient, but if you're using AI assistants quite frequently, you may want to opt in for more. And then Gemini Advanced, the first month goes for free, but then after the first month, you do have to pay $20 per month, and then you get access to their 1.5 Pro model instead. Points, you get 1 million token context windows, meaning that you can have endless amounts of conversations with Gemini Advanced. And with Advanced model, you do get priority access to their new features like Gemini Gems, and you can run and edit Python code directly in Gemini Advanced versions. And another additional thing to just take note is with Gemini Advanced, you also can, when it comes to using their image generator, you can create lifelike images, while with the basic, you don't have any access to that. Now for businesses, you can also go into Gemini Business, where you can opt in for Gemini Business at $20 per month and Gemini Enterprise for $30 per month per user. You do have to do a 1-year commitment. And with this, Gemini is integrated across your entire Google workplace. So this is really great for any companies or businesses that do use Google Now, when it comes to prompting with Gemini, it's no different from a lot of the other LLMs you see out there. But as suggested by Google, some of the key best practices you should take note of are the following. For one, you want to use natural language. Think of Gemini as a companion instead of just this third-party assistant that you have no relation with. You need to communicate it with the AI model using natural language. Then the second is to be clear and concise. Avoid using vague, ambiguous instructions. Try to be as clear and detailed and specific with your prompts. And then give context as well. Context is always matters, no matter what type of LLM you're using. So the better your AI model can understand the context of your request, the better it can give you a more refined output. And finally, break down your prompts if need be. If your prompt is going to be way too long, break it into separate prompts so Gemini can understand precisely what it needs to do. As soon as you come onto Gemini, you will see that it looks like every other LLM platform, because most of these LLM platforms work more or less the same. Now at the top of Gemini, you see your Gemini Advanced or Gemini Basic, and you can select between each. If you are not subscribed to Advanced, of course, this will be grayed out. And for any advanced users, you will have a colored circle around your main Google icon. At the bottom, you can start prompting with Gemini, and you can upload images or talk to Gemini directly. And then if you open up your left navi, you can start a new chat. You have your recent conversations, where if you then toggle the 3 dots, you can pin specific conversations that are more important to you. And then for any Gemini advanced users, you have your Gemini Gems. which are just pre-trained Gemini chatbots that are specifically for a particular use case. So a learning coach will help you learn things, writing editor, coding partner, career guide, brainstorming. And if you're going to Gems Manager at the bottom here, you can, for any advanced users, you can create your own gems as well. And then if you go all the way to settings, you can also toggle between if you want dark mode or not, and go to extensions, and you can turn on different extensions that you have between your Google apps, because ultimately Gemini is a Google product, so make it easier for you where everything is integrated all in a single platform. Now, when it comes to chatting with Gemini, what's cool about Gemini is it offers some additional drafts that you can take a look at. You can choose between which draft makes a little bit more sense for you. You can choose draft 2, or I can go back to draft 1. It's really up to you. You can refresh and generate new drafts. And at the bottom here, you notice that Gemini also, because it's connected with Google, it also gives you some sources where it got its information from. And you can hit these little arrow buttons to learn more, to see where that specific source came from. You can do this throughout the output that it's provided. And you can look down here and all the different sources it's provided. And then way at the bottom here, you can train the model by telling it whether it was a good response, a bad response. You can modify your response by hitting this toggle button and ask for a shorter response, a longer response, simpler response, or casual or more professional. You can also share this with other individuals. If you hit the 3 dots, you can just copy the output itself, and you can double check the response across Google to ensure that all of the responses you're getting are factually correct, or at least make sense. And then you'll see here, now it's highlighted everything in green, and you can sort of take a look to see whether or not content is actually valid. So as I noted in a previous video, Gemini Advanced users do have access to what is called Gemini Gems, which are custom Gemini chats that are focused on something specific that you train it to be. So you at the very beginning, you get some that were already created by Google itself. You can also create your own by just going into the Gem Manager and then creating a new gem. This is pretty straightforward. You just give it a name. So in this case, I might say something like interior designer, and then you just give it some instructions. And here, Gemini gives you a couple of examples that you can write your instructions on. Now, I have written something out previously just to save time. So I say, act as an expert interior designer that is focused on biophilic design, and so on. If you don't like your instructions, you can go down here and use Gemini to rewrite the instructions. If I hit that, Gemini will make my instructions a little bit better. We can just give it a few seconds to improve that. And boom, now it's done even better job at making the short instructions that I had into something a little bit more fleshed out. And from there, all you have to do is just press save, and you can also play around with the preview here by going something like, tell me some biophilic design principles. Now, if I were to do that, it will just begin, say, okay, before we draw and throw them, I'd love to hear more about your current space. Let's say a simple dining room. And now I will just further add its thoughts here. And now moving forward, you'll notice the interior designer gems has been created right at the left. Another great aspect of having Gemini Advanced is that it integrates across all of your different apps on Google Workspace. And so this includes Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides. And so if you enter any of these apps, you'll notice there's going to be this Gemini star, which you can click. And if you have that, you have your own personal Gemini assistant integrated into the app itself. So you can just create an outline, brainstorm. There's even more suggestions that are provided. You can also enter your prompt directly. If we go with one of the brainstorm a list of ideas, you can just do that, press enter, and see what Gemini comes up with. And what's great about this is, especially if you're working with an organization and you have a very long doc of perhaps meeting notes, you can get it to summarize meeting notes directly from Gemini. So here you see on the right, it's produced a couple of brainstormed ideas. I can insert this directly and boom, it's already been filled out. So this is your own personal Gemini assistant across all of your Google Docs. And this works with Google Sheets as well, where you have Gemini at the top right. And then you have a table of information. You can ask it, if you have this huge table of information and data, you can ask things directly by prompting it, or you can even get help with creating formulas. So I can say, create a formula to count non-empty values. So I do that, and if I press enter, then it will look at column A and see what it can count. It will see what kind of formula can be created. So this really helps with anyone that is not as much of an expert with Google Sheets or Excel. So you get the formula directly and then you can use or copy this and play around. And the same goes for Google Slides as well. If you are creating a PPT presentation, you can open up the Google Gemini Star and create an image by describing your image with a prompt about, let's say, create an image about artificial intelligence. I can press enter, see what comes out of that. And if you notice, tip here is you can also reference different workspace files directly within Gemini. So then it'll search through your Google Drive on whichever account has Gemini Advanced. And this applies for Gemini Business and Enterprise as well. So any paid version of Gemini, you're going to get all of these benefits. So this way you don't have to hop around on and off from Gemini all the way to your Google files. And so you see here some of the images got created. You can insert, and this can help create PPT presentations much faster. Now, Gemini can be used for a plethora of different things. In the next set of examples, I'll show you some of the more popular use cases that people are using Gemini for. We'll first start off with brainstorming ideas. Gemini helps users generate fresh, creative ideas by leveraging its extensive knowledge base in Google Search, and it can suggest different perspectives or topics tailored for your specific needs. So an example prompt here could be brainstorm marketing campaign ideas for a new sustainable fashion brand targeting Gen Z. So you see the result here. There's a couple of suggestions that were provided. And if you want, you can also check out the drafts. Perhaps they have some additional suggestions in there. You can also get Gemini to create content. It can assist in writing blog posts, articles, emails, and social media posts. And you can also tailor the tone and style to match your intended audience by toggling the result thereafter. An example prompt here could be, write a blog post about the benefits of meditation, including scientific evidence, and give reference links. So you see the result here. There are some reference links that were provided, while some of them not so much. You can also click the arrow to see where each source came from. You can cross-reference yourself by searching online. You can also get Gemini to summarize documents, and it efficiently condenses lengthy documents in concise summaries. So you can capture essential insights and takeaways without having to read through the whole thing. So an example prompt here could be, summarize the key points of this academic paper on quantum entanglement. You can upload your file, and you see the result here. So it's given me a quick summary of this lengthy 8-page document on quantum entanglement. And then I can also even click the arrows to see at what point this was mentioned, what page this was mentioned in. So I can go back to the original document and search for that specific point mentioned. Gemini is also great for creating tables within the interface. And this is great for organizing your information and making it easier to visualize, especially if you have a lot of information getting output from Gemini. And so an example prompt here could be, create a table comparing the features of the top 5 smartphones released in 2023. So you see the result here. And so the table has been created. And what's great about Gemini, because it's integrated into Google Sheets, you can export this into Google Sheets directly, and it will create a new sheet in whatever account you have the Google Gemini for. Gemini is also great for analyzing market trends, considering that it's linked up with Google. So it can scan through the web and identify different trends and patterns so you can get ahead of opportunities. An example prompt here could be, analyze the current trends in the electric vehicle market, including key players and emerging technologies. So you see the result here. So let's look through everything through emerging technologies, the dominance of established players, focused on charging, infrastructure, regional differences, competitive landscape. Once again, you can look through the arrow to see where they got their information from. Gemini is also great for learning. It can adapt educational content depending on the user's skill level. This can really help to tailor your learning experience, whether through lessons or exercises, to help you learn something quickly. So an example prompt here could be, create a personalized learning plan for a high school student struggling with algebra. And so you see the results here. It's created a personalized plan, and you can configure the details in relation to what that level is. Gemini is also great for translating one language to the next, and considering that Google is the largest search engine in the world, this would be quite useful. So an example prompt here could be, translate this English text into Spanish and French, and then you paste in the text that you want translated, and then you see the results here, and now it's done its job translating whatever text. You can also upload files directly, but the easiest is just to copy and paste it. Gemini is also great as a coding assistant, especially if you have Gemini Advanced, then it has focused editing for Python code. And so an example prompt here could be, generate a Python script to scrape product information from Amazon. And so you see the result here. So it's giving me a Python script for what I've requested. You can either run the code, you can even edit the code itself, copy it over, and then it also gives some explanation about the code, so you can learn while you create. Gemini also can analyze different CSV files or XLS files so that you can extract data insights from large data sets. So an example prompt here could be, analyze this data set of customer reviews and identify insights and common sentiments. Create some data visualizations to represent the data. So you see the result here. It didn't do a great job trying to analyze everything, so it took a couple of steps to move forward. But at the end, it was able to create a bar chart based off of the most recurring words in the customer feedback. So this is really great. I can view this in a table, customize the chart myself. I can even download this as a JSON file. I can zoom through, expand the chart, and it will also give you some explanations about what it found. Now, besides extracting data from CSV files, you can also go from image to text by uploading different images and extracting the information that way. So an example prompt here could be, extract the key information from this image and put in bullet point form, and you upload the image you wanted to extract, and you see the result here. I uploaded this infographic on the most interested countries in generative AI, and it gave me an overview of what it found. And another great use case for Gemini is being able to extract code out of a screenshot of a website that you perhaps want to replicate. So an example prompt here could be, generate the HTML and CSS code for this website, and then you upload the screenshot, whatever website you wanted to replicate, and you'll see here, it gave me the HTML and CSS code for this Apple website. Gemini also uses Imagen 3 as of recording this video, which is integrated directly in their interface. And this is a high quality image generation model that allows you to create stunning images, lifelike visuals, and diverse styles as well. Now, whether you want to create simple pencil drawn doodles or make realistic photographs, Imagen is known for its precision and details and is comparable to some of the greatest image generators that are currently out there right now, such as Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and more. You can create many different things with Gemini's Imagen. We'll explore some of these use cases here. First, starting off with photography. You use Imagen to create realistic or stylized photographs based on detailed text descriptions. For example, a prompt here could be, as a photographer, generate a high-quality realistic photograph of a woman reading a book in a natural park setting using soft natural light. Use a portrait camera style. and you'll see the result here. And then there are UI mockups, where you can use Gemini's Imagen to generate high-quality user interface designs quickly and easily. An example prompt here could be, as a UX designer, use Imagen to generate a modern, clean UI mockup for a mobile app focused on online shopping, tailored for e-commerce businesses using a minimalist color palette with dark mode style. Then you have art illustrations, where you can use Imagen to produce custom unique illustrations for digital and print media. An example prompt here could be, as a graphic artist, use Imagen to create a digital illustration of a space traveler on a distant planet in a retro-futuristic art style. Then you have logo design, where you can use Imagen to design logos and branding materials tailored to your business needs. So an example prompt here could be, as a brand designer, use Imagen to create a minimalist logo on a coffee shop, incorporating a coffee cup and steam in the design. Make sure the logo contains brown and cream colors. And then you can use Imagen to visualize and experiment with interior design layouts and decor. So an example prompt here could be, as an interior designer, use Imagen to create a layout for a modern living room in a Scandinavian decor style. Make sure to include neutral tones, wooden furniture, and cozy textiles in the design. You see the result here. You can also use Gemini's Imagen to craft innovative fashion designs and clothing concepts. So an example prompt here could be, as a fashion designer, use Imagen to create a summer dress design inspired by the 1960s boho style. Make sure the clothing design features lightweight cotton fabric, floral patterns, and pastel colors. And so you see the results here. Then you can also use Imagen to generate creative packaging concepts for products. So an example prompt could be, as a packaging designer, use Imagen to create a sleek and modern packaging design for a luxury skincare product using metallic gold accents, minimalistic fonts, and eco-friendly material. You can also use Imagen to create detailed and imaginative character designs for games or media. So an example prompt could be, as a character designer, use Imagen to create a character for a fantasy role-playing game with elven features, an archer costume, and a magical staff. And last but not least, but not limited to, you can use Imagen to design immersive environments for storytelling or game development. So this is going to be super useful when you want to create environments for architectural planning, game design, or any type of storytelling that you'll do. An example prompt here could be, use Imagen to create an atmospheric environment for a fantasy forest in a dark, mysterious style.